Hi, Curious. So, they don't cook, make their beds, dress independently, and even sometimes have their toothbrush on their toothpaste put on them. And it probably comes to you as no surprise that members of the British royal family lead a different lifestyle than most average people. And while what happens in their private apartments is usually very shrouded in mystery, sometimes secrets are betrayed by servants and emerge from Buckingham Palace. And today we will tell you quite a lot of them. And you will learn, among others, what does Queen Elizabeth do in her room and what unusual situations can she be found in by the servants? What does the head of the royal family eat? And what dishes absolutely cannot be cooked for the royals? And who in the Windsor family does not lift a finger to do something with themselves and who simply gave up the help of servants? What are the rules of the royal court staff and which are the craziest? Stay with us until the end to see what the life in the British court is like from the kitchen, but also don't forget to click on the subscription button and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. Queen Elizabeth II's personal staff can sometimes see quite unusual situations, like the one where one evening upon entering the Queen's room, a servant noticed her sitting at her desk in a nightgown, pink slippers, and concentrating on writing a speech. This sight was unusual not only because she was doing it outside her standard work hours, but above all because on her head was the British state crown set with several thousands of precious stones. But after a while, it became clear that Elizabeth decided to put it on because the Parliament was to open in a few days and she just wanted to get used to wearing a headgear weighing over 1 kilogram. And you can learn a bit more about the royal jewels in one of our previous episodes, the link which is now appearing on the screen. And we, on the other hand, are gonna keep going, so stay with us. On another occasion, a butler witnessed the ruler crawling on all fours across the floor. She held a magnet in her hand with it and she collected the pins that remained from the last fittings and the outfit sewn for her. All this to keep her corgi dogs from hurting their paws. And it is worth noting, however, that only a few people can see such views. The private rooms of the Queen of Great Britain, which are located in the north wing of Buckingham Palace, may only be visited by family and closest friends upon the receipt of an invitation. As the protocol dictates, such an appointment must be made in advance and wait for the appointed date. On the other hand, the service of her bedroom, the dressing room and dining room, and office work is also handled by a specially designated group of people who help Elizabeth II in her daily routines. This is remarkable because the head of the royal family has been following a strict schedule every morning for almost 70 years of her reign. According to court informants, her day begins at 7:30 a.m. when a servant enters her bedroom with the first cup of Earl Grey tea. Elizabeth II, sipping her tea, is obviously listening to the BBC radio and her maid prepares a bath at the same time. The water in the tub must be at an adequate temperature and 7 inches high. This is most important for the monarch because bathing is a favorite moment every morning. And then, while Elizabeth relaxes in the bathroom, her personal wardrobe advisor creates outfits for the day that can be changed up to 5 times a day. And there is also a personal hairdresser waiting for the Queen, who has been doing her hair every day for over 20 years. After all the grooming and styling treatments, it's time for breakfast, and imagine that for many years, in the case of the Queen, it consists of almost entirely a cup of tea and Kellogg's favorite breakfast cereal. However, the first meal of the day, not only for this reason, is quite an unusual ritual, because in its court, the royal family is played by a piper who reports every day at 9 a.m. under the balcony of the dining room. Moreover, breakfast is served by 12 servants who move around the room completely in silence along the strictly defined routes. And as soon as any of their eyes meet that of the Queen, they are immediately to stop and drop their eyes. Also, during the meal, the Queen gives herself to the morning press, and the newspapers are previously ironed through the tissue paper so that they don't get her fingers dirty. By 9:30 a.m., the Queen is already seated at her desk doing paperwork. During this time, she replies to letters, but above all, she must also read state documents. It is an obligation that is imposed on her every day, on holidays, Fridays and Sundays, in health and in illness, and also during holidays or trips abroad. There is simply no escaping it. However, when she finishes her office work, she fulfills official duties and goes around the arranged meetings. Around 1 p.m., they have lunch. And a fairly important ritual is also a daily walk with their beloved corgi. And interestingly enough, her pets also have their own royal servant, and they cook meals for them every day. Regarding the food, it is Elizabeth II who sits down to supper at 8 p.m. and then, unless there is an official departure, spending the evening with her family in front of the TV set. Her favorite series is Downton Abbey because she likes to find all historical errors in it. And unfortunately, there's no information about whether she ever watches Netflix's hit production The Crown, and we cannot ignore the information that the Queen writes her diaries every day before going to bed. And it is worth noting that apart from Prince Philip, she did not let anyone read them, and the notes are precious to her as the crown jewels. So what else do you probably not know about the private life of the British Queen? Well, probably that to the contrary of appearances, she's an extremely economical person, and despite the access to numerous luxuries and top-shelf products, she chooses, for example, the same nail polish since 1989. It costs only $8, and if you want to get a Queen-style manicure, we suggest that her favorite is Essie brand and the color is called Ballet Slippers. Elizabeth II is not all that dependent on chauffeurs who have to take her every place. If necessary, she sits behind the wheel herself, and additionally does not need a driving license for this. Driving on the streets without this document in her royal privilege, and considering that the ruler trained as a driver and a car mechanic during World War II, she's probably better behind the wheel, even without a license, than many of her other countrymen. As we said before, her breakfast is usually not very varied, and it just consists of tea with milk and no sugar and her favorite cereals. But that doesn't mean that the Queen is not a fan of good food, because she has a soft spot for venison, deep fried steaks, and she loves dark chocolate. She also enjoys her favorite drink every day before dinner. There's also something that absolutely cannot be given to her, and this is garlic. The Queen hates it so much to the point that she's banned it from any events involving her. Anyway, all royals cannot eat crustaceans because they often cause food poisoning, and their menu also lacks potatoes, rice, and pasta. There were legends of the time that before the Prince of Wales, each morning had servants put 7 boiled eggs arranged according to hardness so that he could try and choose the one that he liked best. However, it turned out to be completely untrue. But it is quite authentic that his favorite post-hunting snack is a soft-boiled egg with a glass of a hard drink. As the servants do not always know when he will return from the hunt, waiting for his return, the cooks cook new eggs every 3 minutes so that a fresh, warm portion is still ready, which of course is related to the fact that a lot of them are simply wasted. But this is not the only extraordinary story about Prince Charles. While his son Prince William and his wife almost forego their servants, he is known to do well with the court workers in almost every day-to-day activities. For example, the servants must properly arrange his everyday clothes so that the things are placed from left to right in the order they are put on. Moreover, after bathing, he must have a towel properly arranged so that he can only sit down on it and wrap himself up. The prince also needs help in applying toothpaste to his toothbrush or requires that his laces be ironed, and there's probably no other such person at the royal court who would require assistance in these activities. Although it has also gone down in history that the Queen's late sister, Princess Margaret, needed a separate worker to stand by her side with an ashtray at all times. This is sometimes the daily routine of the personal service of the royal family. Besides keeping order, cooking, or making beds, they have to cater to the most personal needs of the royals. Whether it is they serve a bathrobe heated by the fireplace, iron pajamas every day, and take care of discreet errands that cannot be entrusted to wealthy courtiers, as mentioned before, they see royalty in situations that no one else can see them, such as when resting or getting dressed. Currently, it is estimated that Queen Elizabeth's court has nearly 1,200 employees, ranging from maids to butlers and servants and cooks. There are also such unusual jobs as a person dealing with flags or clocks. In addition to the piper that we mentioned, there's also a personal harpist who usually plays to Prince Charles. In addition, one of the Queen's wardrobes is employed to distribute her new shoes, as well as being the guardian of the royal stamps. However, whatever work the servants are doing, each member must follow strict rules of behavior, and among them, there is also the craziest ones. We may have a few examples for you anyways. First of all, servants are not allowed to use vacuum cleaners for cleaning before 10 a.m. to avoid waking royalty or disturbing their morning activities. They are not allowed to walk in the corridors or in the center of the carpet, but only along the sides so as to not leave unnecessary marks on them. And the valets must follow a dress code which depends on the season and the occasion. At the same time, the royal nannies wear a uniform at a special occasions such as baptisms that make them look like Mary Poppins. And moreover, servants in the presence of the royal family must always stand, and those serving meals must learn how to arrange individual dishes on trays for members of the royal family. And more so, they are required not to talk to the press about what is happening inside the palace doors. But how could you hear about this today and so many things that have been revealed by them? So curious, have you heard any other crazy stories from life inside the palace? Did you know that Queen Elizabeth II has such a long morning routine? And do you think that working at the British court is weird? What do you think of all these rules that the ministry must follow? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. So see you guys next time.